That plant sitting in the corner of your baby's nursery and family rooms, the one you bought because it looked clean, healthy, beautiful, yet it might be the most dangerous thing in that room. We're going to go through the most common houseplants people place in nurseries and family rooms, plants that look innocent, that influencers recommend, that you've probably already bought. And I'm going to show you exactly why some of them should never be within reach of a child under 5. But here's the thing, this isn't a video to scare you. This video will help you to be cautious of plants you must keep out of sight of toddlers. By the end, you'll know exactly what to remove, what to replace it with, and how to build a room that's actually safer and healthier for your baby. Let's get into it. The first is Dieffenbachia. This plant has a nickname in the plant world, dumb cane, and that name comes from what happens when you chew the leaf. The rhaphides, microscopic calcium oxalate crystals packed inside every single cell of this plant, they fire into the soft tissue of your mouth and throat like tiny needles. In adults, it causes intense burning and swelling. In a baby, it can cause the airway to swell shut. The terrifying part is that this plant is everywhere. It's sold at IKEA, it's in office buildings. It's recommended for beginners because it's nearly impossible to kill. And it looks completely harmless. If you have a Dieffenbachia anywhere in a home with a crawling or toddling child, it needs to go, not to a high shelf, out of the house. Plant number 2, Pothos, the favorite villain. If there's one plant that has more Pinterest saves than any other, it's Pothos. And if there's one plant that sends more children to poison control than you'd expect, it's also Pothos. The entire plant is toxic. The leaves, the stem, the water in the drainage tray. Ingestion causes intense oral irritation, drooling, vomiting, and difficulty swallowing. Now, Pothos is rarely fatal for children. But here's the real problem. Those trailing vines are irresistible to babies and toddlers. They hang down at exactly eye level. They're soft. They move. A curious 12-month-old doesn't know the difference between a toy and a vine. The fact that Pothos is low maintenance makes parents forget to think about it. That's what makes it dangerous. In some cases, the sap, which is the liquid that comes out of the plant, can cause skin irritation of toddlers. Before we talk about the next plant, do me a favor by hitting the like button and subscribe. We will be posting more similar videos. Thank you. Plant number 3, Peace Lily, the decorated danger. The peace lily is one of the most recommended plants for bedrooms and nurseries. It's on NASA's famous air purifying list. It looks gentle and beautiful, and it is genuinely toxic to children. The same calcium oxalate crystals found in Dieffenbachia are present in peace lily, in the leaves, the stems, the flowers, and even the pollen that falls. Ingestion causes burning of the mouth and throat, nausea, and vomiting. But here's something most people don't know. Even the pollen is a problem. In babies whose respiratory systems are still developing, peace lily pollen can trigger inflammation and irritation. You don't have to eat it. Just breathing near a blooming peace lily in a small room can be an issue. This is the definition of a plant that looks like it belongs in a nursery and absolutely does not. Plant number 4, Philodendron, the shapeshifter. Philodendron is one of the most diverse plant families in the world. There are hundreds of varieties, from the massive split-leaf Monstera adjacent types to tiny heartleaf varieties that sit on a desk. Every single one of them contains calcium oxalate crystals. And here's the trap. The small varieties look so harmless that parents never think twice. They're cute, they fit on a shelf. They don't look like the tropical monsters you'd expect to be dangerous. But size has nothing to do with toxicity. A toddler chewing even a small leaf will experience the same burning reaction as if they'd chewed a large one. Remove all philodendrons from any room where a child under 5 spends significant time. Plant number 5, the ZZ plant. The ZZ plant is recommended to everyone who says they can't keep plants alive. Almost indestructible, grows in low light, looks expensive. It's also toxic. The entire plant, leaves, stems, rhizomes, contains calcium oxalate, And unlike some other plants on this list, the ZZ plant's toxicity is often underreported because it's slower acting and less dramatic, which means parents sometimes don't connect a child's stomach upset or mouth irritation to the plant because it doesn't happen immediately and dramatically. It just makes the child feel off. That delayed response is exactly why the ZZ plant is more dangerous than it appears. Plant number 6, aloe vera. This one hurts to say, because aloe vera has a reputation as a healing plant. Sunburns, skin irritation, kitchen burns, and topically, that reputation is largely earned. But ingesting aloe vera is a completely different situation. The gel inside is generally considered low risk, but the outer leaf contains compounds called anthraquinones, specifically aloin, which acts as a potent laxative and can cause severe gastrointestinal distress, cramping, and dehydration. In a small baby, dehydration from gastrointestinal distress can escalate quickly. Keep aloe in adult spaces. Keep it in kitchens and bathrooms, not nurseries or living rooms where babies spend their floor time. Plant number 7, English ivy. English ivy is what everyone buys when they want their room to look like an English countryside cottage. It climbs, it drapes, it photographs beautifully. And in babies, ingestion causes vomiting, diarrhea, excessive drooling, and in larger amounts, breathing difficulty and neurological symptoms. But the hidden danger with English ivy is the skin. The sap of English ivy is a contact irritant. A baby crawling past a low-hanging vine, brushing against the leaves, that contact alone can cause skin rashes and eye irritation. You don't even have to eat it. This is not a plant for a home with young children. End of discussion. Here's the reframe I want you to carry with you. The goal of putting plants in your home was never for decoration. The actual goal, the real value of any plant in your living space, is environmental optimization, better air, less stress, calmer energy, a room that works for the people inside it. When you see a plant through that lens, through the question, is this room working for us? The decision becomes simple. A plant that poses even a low-level risk to your baby is not optimizing your room. It's adding a variable you can't control, and you have enough variables to manage. The good news? There are plants that actually do the job, that clean air, reduce stress, stay non-toxic, and belong in a home with children. Let's talk about what to replace these with. Think of this as a 3-zone system. Zone 1, the baby zone. Anywhere your baby sleeps, plays on the floor, or spends floor time. No toxic plants. 0. This zone is a plant safety lockdown. Zone 2, the adult zone. Higher shelves, adult bedrooms, home offices, bathrooms out of reach. Toxic plants, if you love them, live here. Out of reach means out of danger. But honestly, if you're serious about optimization, why keep a risk in the house at all? Zone 3, the replacement zone. These are plants you actively bring in. Non-toxic, functional, actually good for the environment your baby lives in. Some of these safe plants are 1. Spider plant, nearly indestructible, non-toxic to babies and pets, proven to absorb carbon monoxide and formaldehyde. Place 1 per room. Your baby can chew the leaves, and the worst thing that happens is you need to repot it. 2. Boston fern, one of the best natural humidifiers, adds moisture back into dry nursery air, which matters more than most parents realize for a baby's respiratory health. Non-toxic, thrives in indirect light. 3. Areca palm, elegant, tropical-looking, and completely non-toxic, releases moisture into the air. If you want the aesthetic of a lush indoor plant, this is your answer. 4. Calathea, stunning leaf patterns, dramatic movement, the leaves actually open and close with the light cycle, and entirely safe. It thrives in the lower light conditions of most nurseries. 5. Swedish ivy. All the aesthetic of English ivy. Trailing, full, beautiful, and none of the toxicity. This is the direct swap. If you loved how English ivy looked, plant this instead. The placement rules. Number 1. Never place any plant, safe or not, low enough for a standing toddler to reach easily. 2. If a plant hangs, check where the trailing vines fall. If they hang below the height of a standing child, cut them back or raise the hook. 3. Check drainage trays. Stagnant water collects bacteria and mold. That's an air quality issue in an enclosed nursery. 4. If you're uncertain about any plant in your home, ASPCA has a free searchable database of plant toxicity. Bookmark it. Use it. The best rooms aren't the most decorated. They're the most deliberate. Every object in your baby's environment is either adding to their well-being or quietly working against it. That's the standard. And now you know how to meet it. 1 toxic plant removed, 1 better choice made. That's how you build an environment your family can actually thrive in.